What's up, everybody? The Iceman here on the Iceman V2013 YouTube channel, or Iceman's Return YouTube channel, whichever video I decide to put this video up on. Anyway, I got a couple topics to talk about tonight here in this video. I was, just talking to my nephew a short time ago. We were talking about the Monday Night Wars. And obviously we had two Monday Night Wars, so to speak. Obviously the huge one with WCW and WWF back in the late 90s. And we were talking about when Bischoff and Hogan went to TNA in 2010 and they decided to go up against the WWE on Monday night. And as we were talking about this whole situation here, like I said to Matt, I go, Bischoff and Hogan back in the WCW days went up against WWF. Yeah, granted, they held the ratings war for 80 some odd weeks, and then finally the WWF ended up, taking them down. But not only taking them down, they took them out. Now, with all that being said, Eric Bischoff and WCW and Ted Turner at that time had the the biggest superstars in the world with WCW. You know, 99% of them anyway. WWF still had, you know, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker was there, and then they developed Stone Cold Steve Austin into a huge success, and then along came The Rock. Uh, but this was the whole point of our conversation when we were talking about this. If Eric Bischoff and Ted Turner and WCW, with all the superstar talent that they had, and they had the best talent in the world, did not succeed by taking down the WWF, what in the hell was Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan thinking when they joined TNA to put them up against the WWE in 2010? It made no sense whatsoever. Um, you already had the world's largest superstar talent in WCW. You couldn't do it then. What really made you think you could do it, in 2010 with TNA? And unfortunately, excuse me, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, um, this was a huge situation for TNA, which went on for what, a couple months, and they still did their live shows, but they they swapped nights because they knew they were getting hurt in the ratings, and you know, it I just didn't understand the mentality of Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. I think they pitched something to Dixie Carter, whereas the woman that she was, really listened to them and really got sort of convinced that these guys, pretty much knew what they were doing. But the bottom line is, Hogan and Bischoff at that particular time, it was a number of years, and Hogan and Bischoff were really out of the limelight. So suddenly they team up together. They make a pitch to TNA. TNA went for it. And I really think that, you know, that was part of the downfall of TNA's talent to this day, because between Hogan and Bischoff, they got paid a lot of money, and it was unfortunate. And they did a lot. They did a lot of things in TNA that resembled WCW. And for me, you know, you're in a new promotion and they have their own identity. Don't try to relive what you did in the past. Don't, usually it just doesn't happen. And it didn't. And it's unfortunate for TNA that Dixie did, end up signing Hoke and Eric Bischoff, because the bottom line is, if she really thought this out and she really had, the right people around her, they would have told her, Dixie, Eric and Ted Turner lost to the WWF. What makes us think that we have an opportunity? And that was their biggest mistake, by overlooking that whole thing. Now, moving on to my other subject. Everybody's talking about NXT, and rightfully so. It's a very good program. I think it's been better in the past. I think the more present day stuff isn't quite as good, and I think it has to do with we don't see Neville anymore. Sami Zayn just arrived back from Abu Dhabi. Um, we do see Kevin Owens, and we got the likes of Hideo Itami and Finn Balor, and the newest sensation Tyler Breeze, who I'm not a big fan of, but their women's division is very, very good with Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Bayley, um, Carmella. There's just they have a number of talent there, but um, a lot of people are talking about NXT. Now, here's a question I pose for you: if NXT was developed and was under the TNA brand, what would people think of it, even if it's exactly like it is today? Would people still love NXT? Would they say it's great, or because it's a TNA, brand? How would they really think about it? This is something interesting. My nephew and I were talking about as well, because it is a WWE show. Is this the reason why NXT is getting so much praise? Even if it was under Ring of Honor, TNA, what would people think of it then? I mean, just think about this. NXT comes up, it's under Ring of Honor. Would people still think it's a great show like they're praising it now? The same as if it came up with TNA. Would they think it's a great show like they think it is now? And this is the thing that I don't understand with a lot of wrestling fans. Uh, uh, there's WWE, without a doubt, is the biggest wrestling promotion in the world, and they built it and built it for many, many years. I don't take anything away from them whatsoever at all. But, you're always going to have, these fans of wrestling because, you know, for the most part, most wrestling fans here, you know, WWE is all they know. If they had opportunities to see the old, NWA or the old WCWs, you know, as us older fans did, we can relate to it a little more because I seen a lot of NWA stuff, which I thought was phenomenal, and same thing with WCW, right up to the till towards like 99 2000. Then they started going downhill. They lost a lot of people. Eric Bischoff was gone and whatnot. But anyway, the point being, um, when you hear about the world of wrestling, the first promotion anybody would talk about would be the WWE. And so my point being, um, is if NXT came up would in doing exactly what they've done since their inception, except under an ROH brand or a TNA brand, would people still praise it like they do today, being under the WWE brand? That's a question, I put out there to all you fans because, just be honest with yourselves and, and to all the other wrestling people here on YouTube. Is it being praised because it's WWE? I'm sort of curious because, obviously we won't really know the truthful answer out of all this because obviously it is under WWE and not under TNA or not under Ring of Honor. But I'm sort of curious what, how people would have thought of it if they did come up as, being owned by another brand. So anyway, it's SmackDown night here Thursday. The SmackDown main event looks pretty good with Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. There's a lot there to offer. Really watch the in-ring movements of Sheamus tonight on SmackDown because there's been rumors that he was very, very reckless in the ring, and much like Ryback was getting bashed for a couple years ago, and I think Ryback has really cleaned up his act in the ring now, and Ryback is to me is he could be a number one contender for any one of those belts, regardless of what anybody thinks. He's earned it, and he paid his dues for all those pay-per-view losses that he had a couple years ago. I mean, it was one point I think he was like 0-6 straight. So, but anyway, Enjoy your Thursday night here, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. And again, think about um, NXT and what you would you consider it being a good show if it came up as a different brand, a different wrestling promotion. So, peace out, everybody. We'll see y'all next time.